In this video, I'm going to go through a really quick example on how to solve questions that require you to find one of the trig ratios when they only give you one of them. And you can do it without using a calculator. So for example, if you are given that sine theta is 3 over 5, and they tell you that theta is an acute angle. And then they ask you to find cos theta. So this is the question. Now, using just this, there are two ways to solve this. I'm going to solve this using the most basic method that, say, 9th graders would be able to solve if you're just introduced to trigonometric ratios. Now, since theta is an acute angle, it means we are in the first quadrant, so we don't need to move any further. Now, sine theta, so this is the first. So the first method is to use the triangle, which is a basic method we do. So let's say I have my right angle triangle. Let's say my theta is here. Now what this tells you is that, remember, this is sine, it's a ratio, so sine is also I have opposite and hypotenuse. So this means that this is my opposite and this is my hypotenuse. So my opposite is 3 and my hypotenuse is 5. Now, in order to find cos, I need the adjacent. Well, if I look at the triangle, I have the hypotenuse, I have the opposite. I can find the adjacent by using Pythagoras' theorem. So I could go, well, this is 5 squared minus 3 squared, and I can square the whole thing. And that's going to give me 25 minus 9, and that's going to be root 16, which is 4. So obviously you're going to take the positive one. So that's going to be 4, which means my adjacent is 4. Now if I want to find cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 4 over 5, and that's it. Very neat, very nice. You can also, by finding sine and cos, you can now, let's say this is the extra question, you can find tan theta. And tan theta is sine theta over cos theta. My sine theta was 3 over 5. My cos theta was 4 over 5. I can split those fractions up by saying, well, this is what I'm doing. Two fractions being divided, multiply, reciprocate the other one. Oops. 5 over 4. These cancel out, and so I'm left with 3 over 4. Or just use the triangle. Tan is adjacent over hypotenuse, which means it's, opposite over adjacent, so it's 3 over 4, and that's 3 over 4. Now this is the first method. The second method is kind of similar to the first one. You'll see, they can be derived from each other, so they're not too far off from each other. The second was by using the Pythagorean identity this time, not the Pythagoras theorem. So the Pythagorean identity tells you that sine squared theta plus cos squared theta is equal to 1. So we have sine theta, it's 3 over 5, so we have 3 over 5 squared, so this whole thing, plus cos squared theta equals to 1. And I can solve it for cosine, easy. So I have cos squared theta is equal to 1 minus this whole thing. And I have 1 minus 9 over 25. You can see a similarity in the numbers. So I have 25 minus 9 over 25. And so I have 16 over 25, and then I take the square root over there, the square into a square root over there, because I'm in a fraction and I have a surd, I can split the surd up, so that's square root of 16 and square root of 25, and that will give me 4 over 5. Obviously, you're going to take the positive values, and that's it. That's what we got, the 4 over 5, which is similar if you consider the numbers that we would have gotten here. So hopefully this was clear. This is a very common question that would come up. Just be careful about the whether you use the positive values or the negative values. Now, sometimes you might, I know I've been saying length, so take the positive, but actually it just depends on the, well, if you're using this method, then yes. But if the angle is not acute, then this method might not actually work because you'll have to deal with negative signs. So this will be a better method, and then you need to be careful by the end whether you're dealing with the first quadrant, second quadrant, so on. So if you're happy until here, you can stop, but just let me show you a quick way of how this is going to work. Now, because the beginnings, it's a positive sign, it means that this could have belonged to the first quadrant or the second quadrant. Now, they already told us it belonged to the first quadrant. What if it belonged? What if theta belongs in the second quadrant? So the second quadrant means that cosine will be negative. Okay, so if cosine is negative, what you're going to do is, the best method, and this is where the calculator will come in handy, so it won't fit for a non-calculator paper, is to actually find the acute angle. So it's to actually go sine inverse of 3/5. That way you're going to be able to find the acute angle, so that will be your reference, and then you'll be able to determine what cos theta is. But you're going to take the negative value of this. This will be the negative value anyways. So you just have to be careful about the values. So cos will be negative, and then just consider it. Could be done without a calculator. In some instances, you might want to check with a calculator as well in case you want to find the reference angle.